Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic, and welcome to this Precious Metals Weekend Review with Andy SCHECTMAN. You can find his work at milesfranklin.com. Andy, welcome back to the show, man.
JC, good to see you, brother. It's craziness right now, no question about it. JC, I got to tell you something. I've been doing this for 31 years, man, and I have never in my life experienced what we are experiencing right now. And I've been going on shows, and I don't know if I've talked with you about this, but my concern about selling large amounts of product to one or two or three very, very large clients and what that can do to our inventory. Last week, Miles Franklin sold almost 600,000 ounces of silver in 1 week. That's 18 tons of silver in 1 week. I never thought I'd see that in my career, truthfully. Wow. I never, ever thought I'd see anything like that in my career. Working 18, 20 hours a day, I feel blessed. I'm working really, really hard. But I will tell you that this is the tip of the spear. There's so few people who get it. And as more and more people are waking up, they're panicking. And it's really it's very aggressive. They're like, listen, I just sold everything out of the markets. This is what I want to buy. One client calls the first time transaction and spends $5 million on 100,000 ounces of silver and 1,300 plus ounces of gold. That's no big deal. This is a test order, he says. Now, when I tell you that in 31 years, I've never experienced anything even close to that, I honest to God have never experienced anything close to that. Mm-hmm. And this is happening on a more repetitive basis. So the things that we've been talking about are coming to fruition in terms of people waking up, a sense in the air. As you and I talked about, as you said to me, you've been exercising because there's this charge in the air. I'm telling you, this charge in the air is permeating all the way southward into the United States from up where you are, because all I can tell you is that this market ultimately will be defined by an inability to source product. We had 50,000 of those Noah's Ark coins, and they sold out in 2.5 days. I don't even know what to say to you anymore other than it's happening in real time, and I hope people believe me, because it's getting really hard.
Hold on a second here. I kind of know what happened here. Of course, I interviewed David Morgan, the Silver Guru, and Cliff High, the Grandmaster of Wu, if you want, together last Saturday. And of course, you and I did a promo for these silver coins, and it was absolutely through the roof. I haven't slept since because my email box is like full. So I can imagine what yours is on your side. So folks, if you haven't seen this episode yet, please go check it out. This, of course, is the link on the Insider Access Pass, but I did give this episode for free to everyone at large, and you can find that on my BitChute channel. And I keep having to repeat that everywhere. Nobody can find it for some reason. It's very easy. It's Jean-Claude BeyondMystic at BitChute. I just don't want to put the links down here. We always have issues when we put BitChute links in our live streams here because of the censorship. So you guys in the chat, help each other out and find this episode here, but it's absolutely amazing. I got to tell you, Andy, too, I'm getting a lot of people who are tracking back to me after they make their purchase with you, and they're like, okay, they're super happy, but they're still nervous, and they want to put a second and a third order in as soon as they get their next paycheck. That's what I'm getting right now. So there is a fever pitch. Like you say, people just got it. And I think that, of course, Cliff and David did a great job explaining to everyone why this time is different. That was one of the main questions here in this episode, because we've been hearing this for years. Oh, okay, it's different this time. And of course, the powers that be always kick the can down the road. But we're heading here very quickly to the end of the road, and people just did that aha moment. So we're starting to see that run right now. Absolutely.
Completely agree. And look, the what's the word I'm trying to find? The tremendous amount of craziness, shall we say, in the market, the market moving up, the market moving down, this type of extreme, can't even think of the word I'm trying to say, where it's just nothing makes sense, and it's very confusing. And I really believe that this type of market action is really done on purpose to confuse the public. It's this confusion, this fictitious price action that has allowed the dollar to survive as long as it has, as the world reserve currency. And for people out there that are looking at the price and this this variability in the price, up one day, down the next, this counterintuitive action, the only way to win in this and to profit in the precious metals market, in my opinion, is to buy it and to put it away and wait. And I think that, you know, you have to be patient in this respect and hope that you never need to use it. And if you do, you'll be darn glad you have it. If not, and it's not just an emergency, it could be an opportunity when things settle out and blue chip stocks are selling at single digit price to earnings ratios or what have you, or that coastal real estate you've always wanted to buy, or that cabin is selling at pennies on the dollar, when this real event, whatever it is that sends interest rates higher and collapses the three pillars of wealth, stocks, bonds, and real estate, there will be opportunities to be found. And if not, you give it to your kids or to a charity. And I think it's really important to not look at the rustling leaves and take a step back and look at the trees. And I hope people understand that, because you'll go mad if you look at the ups and the downs and the really volatile swings that we've been seeing lately in a market, most of which are counterintuitive.
Right. Let's get into the silver to gold ratio. There is a divergence happening now. I put that link earlier today on my Twitter. Before I do that, I just wanted to show the audience, for those of you who are looking for it, this is what it looks like on BitChute if you're looking for me. The logo is there, same name as before, and you'll see there quite a bit of my Cliff High interviews, because of course we can't put them on YouTube. So do go check that out. That's Jean-Claude at BeyondMystic here on BitChute. Before we go back to the gold to silver ratio, Andy, are you telling me right now that the promo code that we put out for that show is no longer available, or do you still have some left?
We sold out of the, I guess I could have put a maximum order amount on them, but they were wildly popular with your people. I only offered them to your people.
Right, exactly.
My brokers didn't even know that I had them. I pulled them off of our shelves. I told my operations manager, get them off the computer. I don't want anyone to see them until your show goes. And then I had a meeting with my brokers, a Zoom meeting.
Right.
Is what is the current environment where we're all scattered. And I said, it's only for JC's clients. And they were wildly sought after, and 50,000 of them went like that. So no, they're gone, but we do have Philharmonics and Kangaroos at 365 over that we can slide in. They're not the 325 over that the Noah's Ark were, but it's still a darn good price, in my opinion, in an environment where premiums must go higher because the demand is certainly outstripping the supply. That I can assure you.
Okay, so for the audience members, if you're still watching the episodes and you're being redirected to this link, which was the Silver Woo special here that Andy is talking about, of course, you can still fill out that form, but Andy will be sending you the current promotions that are available to you at this point. So the form, of course, still works, but you're probably going to be talking about this here right now. Is this still current, Andy, for this week?
It is. I have those. And I'll mention it again, you know, the Silver Eagles, I'm a U.S. Mint authorized reseller, one of only 24 in the world. And it might be the greatest honor that I've ever achieved as a businessman in 31 years. And so at 7.25 over, I mean, I think they're crazy expensive, but it should be the cheapest in America, or North America for that matter. The box to the right of that, that green box of the San Francisco Mint coins, that is not even close to the best price you will find anywhere. And there are companies, I haven't seen anyone selling them. There are some that sell the 2020 San Francisco, and I'll explain it in 1 second, but they're as high as $40 a coin at all the online companies selling them. So the U.S. Mint is located in West Point, New York, and they produce the lion's share of all the coins. The Type 2 Silver Eagles came out in July. They issued them. So as it is, it'll be a really very limited minted coin, low mintage, maybe the lowest of them all. San Francisco is another mint where a part of the U.S. Mint where they infrequently will issue coins. Once in a while, they'll make some Silver Eagles. They did in 2020. They're doing it this year. We were able to buy 75 or 80 boxes, and we sold them immediately. And then we bought another 50, and I think maybe I have 30 left or so.
Okay.
And that's it. Now I'm selling them at the same price. The significance of this is huge. Right now, again, the 2020s are $40 a piece anywhere you can find them. You could send that whole box into PCGS if you wanted and have them certified. And if they come back MS70, there's not a company around not selling them for way over $100. I'm giving them to the public by far the lowest price in the United States. And if you do buy those boxes, do not cut the strap. Because for whatever reason, they did not put an S denoting San Francisco as they do on most of the products, or the older numismatics all had mint marks, S for San Francisco, CC for Carson City, O for New Orleans, etc. These don't, and it's that crisscross strap that would say San Francisco mint on it that would be the way that anyone would be able to see that it indeed is the ultra rare San Francisco mint. If anyone is looking for the cherry on top of their silver sundae, I promise you, you won't find this within dollars an ounce of what we're offering it for.
I believe when I checked the other day, you were at least $5 an ounce less than everybody else I found online, at least. So,
and I'm sure it aggravates the hell out of other dealers. But I don't know. I'm true to my word. I could sell them for a lot more if I wanted to. I'd rather get a good reputation, help your people, help you, help everyone. And look, we're making a living. We're doing just fine. When you sell 600,000 ounces in a week, that has blown my mind to the nth degree. I can't even begin to tell you. In my life, I never would have thought we would do something like that. So we're going to sell as much as we can and get the word out to as many people as possible, and kind of in line with what you're doing.
But here's the thing, though. At some point, you're going to go no offer. I mean, you can't keep this up. And the more people are waking up, or the big one-time orders like you're getting now, the more these come in and call your phone. At some point, your dealers are going to say, we don't have the metal. So what happens then?
And then it's just, I've thought about that. And it's, I don't know at that point, because this is why they say there's no bull market like a metals bull market. No one sells to go back to fiat. Right. And that's 100% sure. Look, we are higher up on the food chain than most of the online companies. And I'm not better, but I've been around longer. 30 years, I've made relationships that these other online companies that are very reputable and established and good companies don't have. Most of these online companies work with one very large primary distributor. And that primary distributor, who may have 100, 200 million worth of product at any one time, works with 2 or 3 or 4 of the big online companies, plus a whole lot of smaller dealers, including myself. I have lines of credit at those companies. When they run out of business, it's over. But I have relationships with all of the primary distributors, with all of the small and mid-sized coin shops that no one knows, that I've developed over 30 years, directly to the U.S. Mint, directly to the Canadian Mint. We have relationships that are 3 decades long that allow. And they know we pay quick. The minute product comes in, they let us know. We have done a great job over the last year and a half of always having product when others don't. That will come to an end, JC. Honest to God, it's getting so hard. It's a full-time job to get product. And when you buy product, in order for us to be where we are in the food chain, you have to pay quick, take large amounts, 30, 40, 50,000 ounces at a time, and wait 2 to 3 weeks before you get it. Most companies won't do that. We do. I have mutual respect, admiration, and trust with the people I work with, and it's allowed us to stay on top of it. But honest to God, we are getting close to that moment where they'll say, sorry, you're going to have to wait a month or 2 months. And, this happened in 2008 when the price fell from 21 to 9. You couldn't find silver anywhere. And when the mints finally came back online, and the reason you couldn't find it is that all the bargain hunters like that dried up everything across the globe. And when the U.S. and the Canadian Mint finally came back online, maybe 90 days after everything went dark, you would pay 100% premium over a $9 spot price, $18 an ounce, and you would wait 8 weeks, 12 weeks to get your product. That was not unusual. And I've talked about this before. David Morgan, who was on that show, is a buddy of mine, and he called me and said, listen, there's a group out of Washington called Pyromet. They've been taking silver out of the back of x-ray machines for 30 years. They want to get in the game. And it was the only thing that you could find were these Pyromet 100-ounce bars for months. You could get nothing. So when I talk about this, I'm not trying to sensationalize anything. I've seen it happen many times, and I've seen it happen to the extent where the whole second half of '08, I thought we were going out of business because we couldn't get any product. It will happen this time because you have such a major expansion into the mainstream that we've never seen before, where a guy can call me and spend $5 million and then the next day call me while he's sitting with the bishop of his church who buys another $1 million worth of silver. And so between the two of them in 2 days, that's $3 million in silver. And that's 150,000+ ounces. And one guy gone. And this is what is beginning to happen. And I don't know, I think it ends with prices going higher than people think possible ultimately, but it also ends with inability for most people who realize late to actually find it. They'll be stuck with things like ETFs and other things that represent the price but don't give you the real thing.
Right. Red Gorgray says, okay, bullshit. Nobody told me Andy was on right now. Somebody needs to be fired. Okay. YouTube doesn't send out my notifications to most people, guys, even if you hit that notification bell. So do please check me out on Twitter. I usually promote these 24 hours before the show. And then again, usually 30 minutes before the show. You can also find me on Facebook and on Telegram, where I also promote all of my shows before, because these notifications are not coming out.
Let me say one thing. Let me just interrupt you for one moment. And this is my fault, everybody, because I asked JC to do this because, you know, I keep talking about this group of the others who is draining the COMEX dry, their family offices and sovereign wealth funds. I was asked to be a keynote speaker at a family office event on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so I asked JC to switch it. But you have the wealthiest private investors in the world right now who are waking up to this. And when you see family offices ask a precious metals dealer to come in and speak, this is a change. This is a sea change, a very, very large sea change. And so I just want people to know that it's not just us tinfoil hat, hard money conspiratorialists anymore thinking about it. We have actually moved into an area where you have family office money, the biggest money in the United States, entertaining the thought of repositioning out of overvalued equities and securities into hard assets.
David Morgan was saying in the show, if only a very small fraction of people do exactly what you just said now, we can't find silver. This is the point we're at now because of the huge industrial demand also this year and the incredible investment demand. If only a few percentage of people start repositioning their assets into physical hard assets here, gold or silver, the system can't handle it. At least that's what he was saying here in the interview. You go check that out. But he was also talking about the silver to gold ratio. I want to ask you about that, Andy, but Curioso is saying, yeah, silver Wu coins, the next global standard. Yeah, okay. How close are you to getting those presses for you and I to do those BeyondMystic silver coins and bars?
Within the next few weeks, we will have all the machinery set up for 10 and kilo bars, 10 ounce and kilo. I would think by November, Thanksgiving here in the States, we will have the coin machine set up. It's a whole separate set of machines, but we are very close to being able to start pressing a 10 ounce and kilo bars that we could make a 10 ounce silver Wu bar for sure. So we're getting close, and I appreciate everyone's patience. And believe me, I will pay for the mold for your first 10 ounce Wu bar, and I will promise you that I will get it out as fast as possible. It will be the first thing I do, and I will make it. You give me the design, I'll make it, and I'll pay for the mold, and we will get them blasted out as fast as possible. But
can I start on the design now? Who is it? Your office that's going to do the layout? Who do I
source out the design? Artist rendering, and then we will then get that made into a mold. That's right.
Okay, well, you and I can chat offline about that so we can get that started at least. So when you get the machine, we're all ready to go. Okay, so let's go back to this news article here on Zero Hedge here. There's a deviation right now happening in the gold to silver ratio. The silver ratio is going a little bit higher now. So it's taking even more ounces of silver to buy gold here today. This is what this article is explaining. Would you care to take a guess as to why that's happening right now? If you look at everything that's happening in the context of the world right now, Andy, or is there something more nefarious that I'm not understanding here? Why is silver being more suppressed than gold at this point today? What's going on?
The first thing to understand is that you know, silver and gold markets are manipulated. I mean, that's first and foremost. And look, the price is determined by 20 or more large paper traders on COMEX, and it is completely and totally detached from the physical demand. You have more or less a casino on COMEX where the big money is able to control price, and it is completely and totally detached from reality. I can't quite explain why silver is continually being hit the way that it is. It does not make sense at all. But I will tell you that at some point, I believe we will see the COMEX stop being the price-setting mechanism, because it is becoming more and more phony. And I think the world understands that. That's why you're seeing a mad rush to silver. In fact, the more they hit it, the greater the demand we see. And when you talk about a ratio of 77 to 1, I'd like people to understand how significant this really is. If you were, I can't see how far does that chart go back that you have right there? Can't hear you. You're on mute there.
Sorry, my dog's here and is making noise. 2014 is the furthest back.
And if you were to Google right now and pull up gold silver chart 100 years, you'll see what'll pop right up. And if you were to, when you pull that up, I'll show you what I'm getting at here. It should be right away pop right up.
Silver price chart 100 historical. Let me bring that up so that audience can see that here. Open image.
I'd like to make a point about this, but that's it right there. And so if you were to put a piece of paper at 70 plus and cover the bottom, that's 100 years there. What you would see is that the majority of all of the action for the last 100 plus years has been well below this number. That peak right there of 120 to 1 was the greatest disparity in human history. Mm-hmm. The majority of the time over the last 100 years has been roughly 42 to 1 as an average. Keith Neumeyer, as we've talked about ad nauseum, tells us it's coming out of the ground at 7 to 1. When you talk about a fundamental setup for an investment, I mean, shit, look at that. We are at a level that represents 1 or 2% of its positioning over the last 100 plus years. Mm-hmm. It's rarely up at this level. So
we're missing on this chart, like today's data. We would be somewhere around here at almost at the 80 mark here right now, because this is going probably to 2018 or 19 from the chart here. Yeah.
Right. And you can see the majority of the action there is much lower than, 40 to 1, even 42 to 1. So you have a situation where if you're looking for an asset class that not only is depleted in nature, which is needed in industry and has experienced a monetary renaissance. And it's not just industry. There's 500 ounces of silver in the tip of every Tomahawk cruise missile. I mean, literally almost to the ounce. Yeah. Silver is used ad nauseum across the globe in a myriad of different applications that are growing every single day. And people are buying it because of its monetary qualities as well. And you can see maybe this has the reason why they are trying to hold it down, because they figure so many people are shifting into it, they're going to get squeezed and you're not going to be able to find it. I can't explain it. It doesn't make sense other than to say this. At 77 to 1, you're talking about a gift. You are talking about the ability to, if your intention is to ultimately be in gold, as I sometimes really believe is the ultimate place to be, because remember, gold's a tier 1 reserve, the only one in the world next to US dollars. If you want to have the opportunity to ultimately be in gold, buying silver at 77 to 1 and waiting for that ratio to correct, let's say it goes 35 to 1, like it did in 2011. In 2010, we were at 85 to 1. It was maybe the second time in human history. Within 8 months, 2011, we were at 37 to 1 as it corrected. And anyone who would have done that and traded their gold to silver, switched back into gold when it hit 37 to 1, would have nearly tripled what they started with. At 77 to 1, you are being given a gift. That, to me, crystallizes why silver is ultimately the most undervalued asset on the planet. It's coming out of the ground at 7 to 1. And if you call gold, call it 1,800 for the sake of math and divide it by 7, that's 240 or 50 bucks. Silver should be much higher. And why is it, why is this ratio widening is anybody's guess, other than the fact that less than 30 traders on the COMEX market control the whole price of silver. It just does not make sense. I just wanted to talk about one other thing. And we talked about this last week, but for those people who didn't hear it, when the price of gold fell and silver on August 9th, there was one trader in that others category who gobbled up 40,000 COMEX contracts. That's almost $8 billion worth of gold. You'd need to post over a $330 million margin to have that account. This is the group in the others category that keeps standing for delivery. So is there any coincidence that of the 40,000 contracts that this person accumulated over the last 4 weeks, is there any coincidence that 38,000 of them were purchased the day that the market got slammed by over $100? The biggest money in the world, the private money, the sovereign wealth funds and family offices, are using this price backdrop of manipulated prices to physically accumulate it. And that's what everyone else has to do. You have to stop looking at this from a standpoint of being bummed out when the price goes down. I get it. It's difficult. But the biggest money in the world is doing the opposite of that. They're using it as an incentive to add to their stash, because ultimately the dollar's in big trouble. No matter how you play it out in your mind, ultimately the dollar's in trouble, whether it's today, next week, next month, or 5 years from now, it's in trouble. And ask yourself, where the hell do you put your money right now where you have any modicum of value other than precious metals? And I can't think of any. So,
and on top of that, I mean, with this whole debt ceiling talk here, of course, the FOMC this week was hinting again at perhaps tapering. And so just on those words today, the bond market took a little bit of a dive there, and bullion and Bitcoin were jumping. Sorry, the dollar was taking a dive there, and bonds, bullion, and Bitcoin were jumping today. So, it seems to me, again, if you go back to this episode between the Silver Guru and the Silver Woo, we're at this moment now where everything's colliding together. At some point, something has to happen. Either they raise rates, they don't raise rates, they change the currency. We're at the end of all the road here.
They can never raise rates. Look what happens to the bond market in just saying, well, we may taper.
Yeah.
You know, the last week when they massaged the numbers for the CPI that came out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which should stand for take the L out and just call it BS instead of the BLS. They tried to tell us that inflation had slowed down a little bit, and maybe it really was transitory. We all know that that's hogwash. But what that basically does is it's saying, well, if inflation's cooling off, we don't have to taper. We can continue to buy asset price, the mortgage-backed securities, and $150 billion a month in treasuries, because, as we've said before, who's stupid enough to buy 10-year treasuries that are negative real terms by 3-4%? Nobody but the Fed. So the Fed has to continue to buy bonds. It's inflate or default. They will never stop. They will never stop buying. They will never taper. If they do, everything blows up. And it's all just a bunch of crap lip service. They're stuck. There is nowhere for them to go but to continue to monetize and to print. And any lip service about it is just that, lip service. The next thing that will come out of their mouth is, oh, well, things have cooled down a bit, so we're not going to taper just yet. We will let you know in 2022. They'll just keep kicking the can down the road. Mark my words. They tried it, in 2019, and the market threw up. You cannot raise rates ever again when you have, at least you can't do it without by design. Now remember, interest rates are supposed to be controlled by the market anyway, not by the Fed. The Fed's the only one stupid enough to do it. That's why they're buying $150 billion a month in it, and that's what they tell us. It's probably more than that, to keep interest rates low. God forbid interest rates spike, everything collapses. Stocks, bonds, and real estate. At the same time, they can't allow rates to rise. They can't.
Oh man, crazy times. Anga Knight is saying, I would sell a kidney to get one of JC's 10-ounce bars. Okay, you don't need to sell a kidney. We'll be ready in a month or two here. Oh, that's amazing. You know what I'll do, Andy? I'm gonna set up a maybe a booking form on my website to see what the interest is. So no obligation, but to have people say, hey, yes, I'd like one, to put their name, maybe to be the first on the list to get one. And we'll have an indication as maybe what that first run should look like when we do produce that. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know in the chat or in the comment section below. And maybe on the next show, I'll produce this contact form here to get you guys on the waiting list, I guess, for this 10-ounce Beyond
We'll
Mystic.
get it done for you. I can promise you.
Okay, very good. Andy, I wanted to do a quick show here with you today. Of course, we tried to move our schedules around. Is there anything else that you think is important on the radar this week that the audience should know about moving forward? I know maybe in the next couple of days here, we might see some big fireworks here in the United States. Of course, we're seeing it in other countries right now. This whole situation is volatile like crazy. They're expecting perhaps that... I won't even name the government here. Let's just say down under, it could fall here within maybe 2 weeks with what's happening right now with their citizenry and the cops firing on civilians here. So things are pretty hairy. But what are you tracking that maybe we didn't talk about today that you'd like to share with the audience?
You know, look, I was reading something and I saw a couple of interesting quotes by Vladimir Lenin. One of them says, the way to crush the bourgeois is to grind them between the millstones of taxation and inflation. And the other says, by Vladimir, the best way to destroy the capitalist system is to debauch the currency. These principles are happening and they're rapidly moving. There's no question about it. And we have higher taxes on the horizon. They're destroying the currency. There's more restrictions. They now want to I don't know if your people have read what's coming out of the new tax guide, but they want to monitor gross inflows and outflows of cryptocurrencies, brokerage houses, banks, Venmo, PayPal. The doors are closing, but not only are they making it difficult to find a semblance of privacy, they're destroying the currency and people's will, I guess. They're crushing it, the spirit, through higher taxation, higher inflation, greater restrictions, loss of privacy, forced vaccinations. I mean, there's so many things that are happening right now where I think it all, and then you look at what happened in Saudi Arabia. You know, this is huge. When right now the U.S. pulls its Patriot missile defense system out of Saudi Arabia, right after they strike a military cooperation deal with Russia, who then does it the next day with Nigeria, the two biggest OPEC producing countries in the world. Things are getting real, really, really, really fast. Mm-hmm. And I think people need to start to pare down their exposure to US dollar, period. Because not only is your pricing going to deteriorate rapidly, but so is the value of the dollar. And it's very interesting when you read, comments that were made, a long, long time ago by Vladimir Lenin, and that's exactly what is happening. We are being crushed with taxation and inflation, and the currency is being destroyed by rapid printing and monetization. This is getting real. People are waking up to it, and God bless you, JC, and others like you, who are sticking their neck out there. I guess you could say I'm sticking my neck out there too, to let people know what's going on. And I know you sleep good at night when you sleep, and so do I when I sleep, but we'll continue to keep fighting the fight. And as I say most every time I'm here with you, it's a great honor to be here, and I will be with you shoulder to shoulder till the end, and we'll see this through and hopefully help a lot of people.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And Andy and I, of course, had kicked off this Death of the Dollar series a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't seen this series, guys, go check it out. So much information there, from Bix Weir to Dick Allgaier to Bill Holter, Rob Kirby, of course, David Morgan, Jim Willey. Like it's this is quality education in one-stop shop, and we produce quite a bit of information. These are all 1-hour shows at least, so there's a lot there to put meat to the bone here to this conversation, guys. So if you're new to all of this, educate yourself, go watch these videos, ask questions to the people in the audience here, but by all means educate yourself here, because knowledge is power, and then from there you'll be in a better position to take action to protect yourself and your family. These are crazy times that we live in. Ronnie says, yes, we love you, JC, we love you guys, thank you so much. And quite a few people said, yes, I want a 10-ounce bar. Somebody said I want 10. So I'm like, okay. So I'll be creating that form, and maybe we'll bring it up.
When you start working on the artist rendition and you'll be the first one we produce. I can promise you that much.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Well, thank you so much. Well, folks, this was a very quick but still very important weekend metals review here with Andy SCHECTMAN, and we'll be back probably at a regular time slot next week on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So, guys, join me tonight for our live with Janine. That's going to be at 8 o'clock Eastern, and we have a lot of information to go through with you guys here. It'll be an absolutely amazing show. So I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Au revoir.
Au revoir.